Hi everyone, welcome to Baker Street, March 2024. Keeping quiet because the meeting started already. We've got Sam here. Sam, thank you.
Thank you very much, Zee. Perfect to be here. Always great to see you.
And we're ready for the Baker Street kickoff. There's so much value today, isn't it, Sam?
Absolutely, there is. There's Andrew Roberts that's going to do his fantastic economic report. We've got someone down there from the finance as a mortgage broker as well.
Wow.
So much is going on down there, full of education and exciting.
Got all-star cast down there, and obviously we'll be getting to the nuts and bolts of all this. So you're going to enjoy us unpacking all this fun. And Sam always helps us. Also a property entrepreneur. Check his profile out on LinkedIn and so forth. So we'll tag him in as well. Hope you enjoy the property meet.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, one of the interviews presenters today on the main stage at Baker Street, March 2024. Richard, thank you so much. Richard is from Savills. Richard, just a little intro for the audience.
Good afternoon, I'm Richard Valentine-Selsey. I head up the European residential research team at Savills, and it's great here to talk to everyone about what's going on in the UK market in 2024.
And there's so much happening, it's unbelievable, and we got insight from Richard on this. Richard, one of the topics you were talking about was pricing, right? What is going to happen to rent prices in the UK, not only 2024 but beyond? What's your view on it?
So 2024 we're going to see continued growth, but not necessarily as strong as we've seen in the last few years. Like affordability is going to come into play, but we are going to see continued growth in that market over the next 5 years, about 18% according to our forecasts.
But do you think it's going to vary because there's London and there's everything else, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's normally the demographic split.
Yeah, I think like what you're seeing now is kind of like London's getting to this point where affordability is getting a little bit stretched. People are moving out, moving to the suburbs around London, the Crawleys, the Harlows, seeing stronger growth there, and the kind of regional markets are seeing better performance than seen in London.
So what do you think the percentage split difference is? London still will increase but at a slower rate. What percentage are you feeling from the research?
I think we'll probably see maybe like 4.5 to 5% in London.
Wow.
And maybe like 5.5 to 6% in other markets over the 2024.
And that's over 2024. But do you see 2025, 26 dropping, I was noticing?
Yeah, I think like what we're going to start to see 2025, 2026 is kind of like the easing of growth. So it's going to fall back down to about 3%, 2.5% as we need to wait for income to kind of catch back up after 25%, 30% growth over the last 18 months.
So I see two things that if I unpack that. One thing is that obviously inflation is affecting real growth, right? That's one issue. Number two, don't you love Baker Street? Number two, I'm also seeing that people's affordability. Is that the two drivers?
Yeah, pretty much. You've got like a lack of supply forming like demand to push pricing up, but you're kind of getting to the point now where affordability is going to be the key thing over the next 2 to 3 years, like not pushing rents too far because tenants can't afford it after a while.
And obviously we'll put you link in the comments. Is there some studies that you sent out on this as well? You've done some research.
Yeah, so we've got our forecast from last year. We put out a quarterly rental publication and a monthly housing market update that you can find on savills.co.uk.
Wow, we're going to tag Richard in. You've got to check his stuff out. Savills is one of the main people. You've got to take their insight, put that into your property journey. Richard, thank you so much. That's huge value. Perfect. As always, Baker Street Property Meet isn't about anything unless you get the market update from Andrew Roberts.
Zee,
Andrew,
thank you.
Huge value today. I'm going to angle on two things and we maybe have some time for more. Number one, you talked about rent prices increase, right? And you were talking about London compared to other places. I was speaking to Richard earlier as well.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the 5% increase that you're expecting in London, and then you're expecting much higher around outside London and around the UK. And we'll get on to Scarsco later as well. So if I talk about those three things, why do you think there's such a differential in the rent increases for the audience?
Right, okay. Well, one of the things I demonstrated was via a lot of different graphs and a lot of different information is the rents across the UK and how much they are and what they are in affordability terms. Now, in central London, £3,196 is the average monthly rent.
Wow.
Therefore, you need a salary. When you look at rents and affordability, typically a landlord or a letting agent is looking at around about 30%. Your rent must not exceed 30% of your income. So therefore, you're looking at people with £9,000 a month sort of take home. So you're starting to hit the limits, the thresholds of what people can afford. That is why London is starting to slow. It did race, it was ahead of the market, it was running at 9% and 11% prior to that. It's now slowing off a little bit. And we will see the regions also start to slow.
So I think the key drive is affordability, isn't it? Because there's only so much the income is letting you get rental, and that's there's got to be a connection, and I think people get disconnected.
And with wage rises forecast to only rise by 4%, you can't keep rising by 11% if the wages are rising by 4%. And I demonstrated with the data again. If you're on national minimum wage, the average rent in the country, based on the average national minimum wage, you're at 59% of that month's rent coming out of your pay packet. So it's leaving you about £400 to £500 a month to actually spend on food, transport, clothes, entertainment.
It's not affordable. I think another thing
not on your lifestyle with all these Lamborghinis.
I don't know about that. I think another thing was really important point is talking about Scotland. I'll give you some insight because we've got quite a lot of people up there investing. One of the things is legislation, regulation. That's what's driving it. And things like, and we'll get on to service accommodation because I want to get your views on that. I think the driving of legislation in different councils and areas, like Scotland, Wales having different rules, is affecting it so much. I think that's what's affecting your different values of rent.
Absolutely.
So huge value there. Another area, Jeremy, the Chancellor, did some announcements in the budget for what we call furnished holiday lets. He didn't mention service accommodation, but they're so linked because that is similar to the rules people use. However, they are very different. And I think you were talking about the new class that they may bring in for service accommodation specifically with C5. I think we were saying maybe a different view that C1 is more appropriate if they are using it as what it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to be self-catered hotel accommodation. That is what service, if it's done properly, is supposed to be. And I think there's going to become more requirements and that rationale, because right now it's being a bit flaky. Everyone calls it service accommodation. You never know what that means.
Short-term rentals, fixed holiday lets, furnished holiday lets. Sorry, you've got holiday lets themselves, service accommodation. There's that many buzzwords for it. People even call it Airbnb.
Yeah.
What you've got to do is look at this, and the data I presented tonight was specifically on what I would call single dwelling houses, flats, that type of property, which are rented out on Airbnb, Booking.com. They're very different to the vacant guest houses, which are a C1 planning class, opposed to the new proposed C5. The properties that you're suggesting or talking about, the holiday lets, are a C1 class. They wouldn't be affected by the new legislation. They're trading businesses. They're completely separate to a C5, which is the proposals. That's where we're looking at.
Yeah, I think one of the outcomes is right now people don't actually need the planning to classify for tax. I think there's going to be alignment. It was a matter of time, and I think that's what's going to happen. Is your planning is required because you're also subject to business rates or council tax.
Totally.
There's all that, and the legendary count per tour allowances. These are huge because if you lose those, that's it. It's gone. Because the mortgage interest is neither here nor there because you structure properly accordingly.
Yeah. If it's the new proposed C5, you will lose your capital allowances. If you're a C1, you should retain them. I say should because the legislation and the details not out there.
And I think we're talking on SAS London about this, and we're talking to a capital allowance expert about this, and what we were saying is until the white paper is out there, you can check our YouTube on that, we won't know the details and whether how much is going to be carried forward, what is going to be the transition rules. Another one good old Jeremy hasn't thought about. The last thing I want to talk about is get Andrew's views on stamp duty relief called multiple dwellings relief, right? MDR. Do you think he shot himself in the foot in there? because I don't think he's thought about it, and I specifically tell you the example he hasn't thought about it. Why have we got MDR? No disrespect, Jeremy, don't get upset. Don't HMRC, don't get upset. I'm just telling you, why did you bring in MDR in the first place? It's called linked transactions, right? Linked transactions are when I buy something twice, I don't get hit, yeah, because I had anti-avoidance to stop, and that's where MDR came in. That was the whole point of it. He's obviously not a tax advisor. Hope you know a decent one, right? He hasn't thought of it, and now he's going to change it like they did initially.
Yeah,
you know, he's not thought about all this stuff.
The problem you've got coming, and I sort of looked at the broad brush numbers that are going to be saved in tax, but also what's going to be lost as well. And it's one of them that I don't think the mathematician that put that together actually looked at both sides of the equation. With every movement, there's a set of scales, and it goes up and it goes down. Now, which way should it go, up or down? And in this case, I think they just thought, oh, we're giving away a benefit here, but they forgot the set of scales.
And they also forgot when mum and dad buy 2 houses from the same property for son and daughter, and they get tagged as they did initially from the linked transactions and MDR, suddenly, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. And I think these are the things where if you don't have the advice and planning, this is what's happening. And I think they've done it, but it's going to be someone else's problem, not theirs.
Absolutely.
Andrew,
See,
unbelievable market update.
Mate.
You got to love that. Let's get the... Love it. Baker Street Property Meet. We get some of the big influence in the property world, and we got Raj Hussain here today. Raj, I love it. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Oh, Raj, we love this. You got so much insight. I know a lot of people follow you, but in the Midlands, especially and across the UK, we want to learn about the Birmingham property market and areas that you focus on. So give us insight. What is happening in the Birmingham property market from investors and developers' perspective, please?
Birmingham's always a booming market. I think what happened with Birmingham years ago, it became the poor cousin to Manchester.
Yeah.
Manchester just kind of overshot it, even though it's a second city. And
It's the biggest, it's bigger.
happening here?
Yeah.
But what's happened since HS2 was kind of confirmed a few years ago now, the amount of money that's coming, the amount of infrastructure improvement, and then you've got a number of large corporates relocating there. It's just kind of mushroomed in terms of what's happening. There's a huge number of opportunities, and then the city centre is just exploding in terms of growth. But then you got little pockets, like for example where we are in King's Heath in South Birmingham. You've got a new train station opening there.
Wow.
Prices are kind of really being pushed up. But then there's other areas that are yet to grow that haven't really had that growth yet. Your Sturchley, Cottridge, Kings Norton, places like that. But if you're from the Birmingham, these will mean something. If you're not, they're kind of South Birmingham. But essentially the point I'm making is there's lots of places which haven't really had that growth yet. So if you want the capital growth over time as well, and you want good yields, that's the kind of place I would
I've
look
got
at.
a few friends that go to Birmingham regularly, and I've one thing
Great curry houses as well.
Sorry?
Great curry houses as
Oh,
well.
the best in the country. If I don't say that, some of my friends watching, they will grill me later. Birmingham food and Manchester, amazing. One of the issues I've noticed is rental growth's been quite high.
Yes.
Capitals are growing up now, because I used to see properties 80, 100, now 100 to 150, if depending on when you buy them, if there's an uplift.
Yes.
What I want to know is, from a residential perspective, you've given some areas, what kind of property strategies would you recommend people look at? And I know you do so much knowledge on this anyway, but just a quick tip for the
I would say
audience.
it's sort of a broader answer to that question is, look, there's three ways we feel you can make money from property. You're either creating cash flow, money reoccurring each and every month,
Which is king.
or you're creating cash out of deals, like you're selling deals on and you're developing,
sourcing.
selling, flipping property,
Yep.
or you're building equity for the long term. So before you think about where you're buying, you've got to think about which of those three methods is the one important for me. And for us, what we do, we focus primarily on cash flow.
Yeah.
So that's things like HMO, service accommodation.
Yeah, love them.
They bring us really good cash flow, and then we look at stuff that's going to cash out. So new builds, flips, those two. They're really our two things we focus on.
Wow.
We don't really focus on the long-term equity. We're interested in doing these two things.
I'll have to ask this because Ranjan King of Commercial is calling, right? Do you do a lot of commercial? Because I've heard...
No, we do commercial to residential, so we don't have any pure commercial.
So I always tell people a few tips on when you're doing commercial, it's all about the structuring, especially if you're doing commercial resi, because you've got VAT, you've got capital allowances, corporation tax, stamp duty, land tax. And
Your
your
accountant is key in structures like that.
Not just accountant, someone who specialises in property, because property taxation is a whole big world. I haven't mentioned ATED, you'll see it with a Lamborghini video that I did on that. What I want to know is, obviously there's a lot of legislation change, and we're asking everyone, you know, you're obviously big in the property world, you do a lot of service accommodation, I've seen in your videos, which gives so much insight. What do you believe the future of service accommodation is? And I'm differentiating between service accommodation and furnished holiday lets, just for the audience.
Yeah. So I think it's evolving, and I think it's evolving in a good way. Some of the regulation, what we'll do, will have a bit of a shake-up. We were just speaking about now from stage. And what will happen, there's a lot of bad operators. There's a lot of good ones as well, but there's a lot of bad operators. And really the bad operators tend to really, because they don't run their businesses properly, the ones that run their businesses properly suffer.
Yes.
So when we have a bit of a shake-up, when we have registration, for example, licensing schemes, if we get Article 4 coming in for service accommodation, these are the kind of things that will mean a lot of the poor operators, the bad operators, will start leaving the market. And that will create opportunities for those that want to do it properly. So personally, we think the opportunity is in the C1 sector, like we were talking about before,
of course.
which is your bed and breakfasts, your guest houses, small hotels. That's where we see, we're not talking about a big 200 bedroom hotel, your small 20 unit, that kind of thing. That's where we see some of the bigger opportunities in this sector, especially for growth, especially if you're thinking about exiting the business at some point. If you want to build up the business to sell, if it's in the C1 category, that's going to be worth a lot more than if it's a service accommodation.
I think that's a really important point that you made, whether are they actually service accommodation, and that criteria, it's been a bit vague previously, that's going to become very key, because there's a big difference between that and what you call a furnished holiday let or an AST, and there is differentiations, and I think that's going to become huge. I think people being registered for business rates, not council tax, having the right planning class, I think these formalities were going to come, and now they're coming, and if you don't have those, you're not going to be able to do service accommodation, right?
Absolutely, and like I said, I think it's only a good thing, because those that do want to do it properly, it's a clean playing field, it's a level playing field for those.
So anyone who's following Saj is giving great value. I'm going to tag him into this post, and across social media he's got a huge YouTube following and he adds so much value. Saj, thank you so much for humbling us. Really appreciate it.
Much
Love it.
Thanks so much.
As everyone knows, Baker Street Property Meet March 2024 is nothing without having one of the main people, Ranjan Bhattacharya, on it. Ranjan.
Good to see you, Zee.
Thank you.
See you,
We
Zee.
love this part. Ranjan, so much value. Been fortunate and humbled to speak to so many of these experts about what's happening in the property world. Want to get your view on it. This is post-budget, right? What is the big things in the budget that you feel are obviously a threat and an opportunity?
Well, obviously, if you're doing furnished holiday lets and you own them as an individual, you have been attacked, which is very, very interesting. It's basically, I think, the theme of the whole budget has been for property investors: go big or go home.
Yes.
If you're unincorporated and you're doing furnished holiday lets, you're going to have to pay tax on mortgage interest. But there's a get out of jail free card. If you've been doing it for a couple of years, you can sell before 5th of April, because the new rules don't come in until 5th of April, of course.
5th of April 2025.
2025, so that's a nice thing. And the other thing they've done in terms of an attack on unincorporated landlords is, of course, capital gains tax, like saying, look, if you're not an incorporated landlord, we don't want you, seller. So they're lighting a fire underneath you, but making a doorway to kind of get out for the unincorporated landlord. So the direction of travel is go big or go home. You need to be doing property professionally, you need to be running it as a business.
I think a really good point that Ranjan's talking about is about the capital gains tax, and we haven't talked about that in this episode so far, is the annual exemption they attacked furtherly. So really, they've taken with big on one hand and gave you a little bit back on the other thing, because the annual exemption was 12,300, it's gone to 6 and it's going to go 3, which is a joke. Sorry, Jeremy, I'm just telling you how it is from my perspective. I think there's a lack of knowledge from Jeremy around tax, and I think he needs to think about, as I was saying, around the impacts longer term, because there's a lot of this short term for the lecturer, but they're not really helping matters. I think the other thing I want to talk about is the differentiation I've been talking about between what I believe furnished holiday lets and service accommodation. I'll speak to a few of the other people. I think the planning classes are going to become quite big on this, because that's what's going to be the differentiator really. Either going C1 or this C5, because C5 is going to be painful. right? C1, if you meet the criteria, they're going to become strict on the criteria. I think that's going to be the only way that you can make the cash flow because of capital allowances, especially on service accommodation. I don't know if you heard some of this strategy so far.
I think there were some interesting points made in some of the discussions panel by some of the panelists today, which is by having the new planning classes, it basically gives status to that usage. And by giving status to it, it gives value to it, which means people can borrow on it. And that is a fantastic area of opportunity.
And I think Ranjan mentioned, I was thinking, who's his tax advisor for a moment? He mentioned something called about entrepreneurs relief, which is now called the tongue twister business asset disposal relief. I think if you need advice on that, really think about it. If you've got furnished holiday lets or properties that should probably be service accommodation or furnished holiday lets, depends on how you've been treating them on your tax returns, because people don't really know the difference, right? You can claim this provided you've got 2 years, as Ranjan mentioned, right? You're obviously running the business and you've got at least 5% share in it. You can actually claim quite a lot of reliefs. You can claim 3 major reliefs. One is the entrepreneurs relief, that's 10% CGT up to $1 million each if it's you and your wife. You've got rollover relief where you can actually do a replacement asset and defer capital gains tax, or you can do something called gift relief and pay 0, but that also affects your tax position of what you're moving over. So there's a lot of fun. Gotta love this tax and bit property. Ranjan, thank you so much. Huge value as always. Don't you love Baker Street Property 2024? Love it.
Brilliant.
Baker Street Property Meet 2024 March will never be the same again unless we speak to one of the legends of the meet these days is Bernadette. She's always a regular. Bernadette, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zee.
She's one of the VIPs here and she always gives us insight, which is quite unique to her journey. Bernadette, you've obviously had a few changes from last month. You were talking about them. Can you give an update to the social media family about your property journey since February?
Yeah, so Bernadette Anderson, for those of you that don't know me. So
I don't know if there's anyone, but there may be.
With everything that happened, all the changes in the last year and a half, I adapted my strategies to focus on non-complex but still yet very profitable deals. So one of the deals that I found is in the Richmond Borough. I think I've mentioned this before. I bought it in an auction. I got it 150k below market value.
Wow.
I'm developing that into a...
What was the market value of that?
627,000.
So you got it...
I got it at 474,500 to be precise.
Love it.
And that was really important because I built that equity up front, and that contributes then towards my build cost, because obviously build costs are spiralling at the moment.
Yes.
So it's really important that I make sure that I get my money back out. So, and there's different ways I can do this. So you were talking before about PD and the things that are how it's benefited me at the moment. So I have to say, so thank you Richmond Council. I've already done a post on my own LinkedIn. And
by the way, that's a bit rare thanking Richmond Council, but it seems like they've done great service for Bernadette at the moment.
Honestly, so proactive.
Wow.
I'd called last week. It was a really bad line. My contact said, look, call me back first thing in the morning. I called him back, and I went through then the next PD or the next application that's going to go in, and that's for because I'm changing some windows and I'm externally insulating the house because I want to do it properly.
Was that under PD or planning?
So that will actually be a full planning application, but he said it should get approved within 8 weeks. So something that I would actually pay for pre-app advice for, he gave it to me like that in half an hour. Honestly, I got off the phone and I felt so much joy, because I think it's also the energy that you put out to people is what you get back. And that's literally saved me a couple of months of emails going back and forth, 3 potential individual applications, whereas I'm just going to have 1. Plus he said your PD's about to get, it's gone for submission. Yeah, so it will get approved. That's about to happen this week. So as soon as that PD comes in, then I'm going to start building out the foundations.
Let me unpack that, because there's so much value there.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot there.
What Bernadette's talking about is understanding the rules, building relationships, and actually making a phone call. Because if you don't have that relationship, you're just going to go through emails. Things will take a lot longer. I'm having a bit of fun, as we are recently with Friends of HMRC with a lot of stuff as well. Building relationship is key, because if you can talk to someone, that accelerates the process, as long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. It is definitely about understanding the process, because I'm doing a very staged approach with my applications with the council, and it's really important that you understand what's going on, But obviously, I feel very blessed that I spoke to someone who's given me so much value in that conversation, because that's given me clear direction about what to do next.
Wow.
So as soon as my PD comes in this week that's approved, then I'm going to be putting my full planning application in, and then there are still another series of applications that still
So
need to go
let
in.
me unpack that and summarise. So you've obviously got the planning going through. How long do you reckon that's going to take on this project to get the planning and then do the work?
Yes, so work's already started. So PD was approved for the
PD.
loft, but the whole place has been stripped out. And at the moment, the dormer's being built, so that PD's already in, that's banked. So I wait for the PD for the 6 metre ground floor extension. Then once I
How
built,
long's the work going to take for that?
so I've actually got a really good contractor, so looking to turn the whole thing around in 5 months.
All end to end, so the PD part and the planning that you're looking for
Yeah.
the windows and things like that.
Because the work's already started. So what's really important is you get your applications in. So as your next one's been approved, like now,
Yeah.
work is already happening.
So you're being efficient.
Because
imagine
I'm
it.
reducing my holding costs that way, because obviously I'm paying interest to the lender.
I was going to
in that
ask that,
time.
so that's a really good point. You jumped the gun to it. Or great answer is about financing. You're doing, I assume, bridge finance. Is that how
Bridge
you're doing?
finance,
And development as well, or
Yeah, so what I did, I have to say, excellent lender. Can I give them a shout? Okay, I won't give them a shout, but I just want to say thank you very much, because we were really under the cosh to get this over the line, because I bought it in an auction, even though I had an exchange of delayed completion. And what they actually did, they did a bridge to refurb loan, which means I only pay one set of fees.
Wow.
And they actually extended the term to 15 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you pay it back within 6 months, you're going to benefit, obviously.
Yes.
You were saving interest, and therefore the project. What's the GDV up for it at the moment on this project?
So this is
Percentage to
So
GDV.
I'm going to say this because it's one of the challenges. So properties are getting down valued at the moment.
Yeah.
So my property initially didn't get the value that I wanted. So I'm going to say that honestly.
Yeah.
Because I like to be really clear with my numbers. I like to know where I stand. And I think it's too important to share this learning. So that was because there's a property across the road that is bigger than what my proposed size is. And so that was taken into account when the valuations were done. However, what I'm going for commercial valuation.
Got it.
I have spoken to lenders and brokers to find out what do lenders want for me to attain a commercial valuation on this property.
Just to unpack to the audience, commercial valuations is because it can be a HMO. So you're
so HMO stroke corporate let, because this is going to be going out for professionals.
So when you do a commercial loan, it's different to a normal buy-to-let one, and the reason being is that she's going to base it on the cash flow and potentially get more money because they're basing it on the cash flow. There tends to be sometimes a bit more interest potentially cost to the commercial loan, but it can be beneficial. But you need to know what you're doing when you do this strategy.
Yes, I mean it could actually be the difference of about 2%.
Wow. But if you get more money, and then you can.
So you need to weigh it up.
Yeah.
But so what I've done is I've thought ahead. Okay, well if that's what I'm going for, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
So I've spoken to different lenders and brokers. So it's things like each bedroom. So there's 6 bedrooms will have their own ensuite or off suite.
Right.
So off-suite being it's not connected to someone's room.
Are they going to have their own kitchen, or is it still going to be communal kitchen?
So I've got one large communal kitchen, so that's 22 square metres.
Got it.
It's quite big, and a separate kitchenette.
Got it.
And the main kitchen will have a double oven, double hob, double sink. So I'm doing everything possible, so there would be no reason why I shouldn't achieve that commercial valuation.
Okay, and what's the valuation going to be, roughly, you think?
So I'm going for about 850,000.
Wow, so she bought it, get the numbers here, right? You bought it for 475 odd. It was worth about 625. Now you're going to get lift to 850.
Yeah.
Huge amount of value. So your initial bit gets you up to 850, and then you can potentially do other stuff.
Yes.
Don't you love it? This is the real deal actually happening as we speak. Always follow us for insights, and hope you enjoy it. We also put Bernadette. If you want any interaction with Bernadette, you can always message her on LinkedIn or whatever other social media that she uses. Bernadette, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Wow, what a Baker Street 2024. What a property meet. As you can see, huge value. We had so many all-star cast. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and comment below. Before the security people kick us out, we better be going. They've been so humble and so nice to us. Please do, as I said, like, share, and let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about. And hope you found this all valuable and it helps your entrepreneur journey, especially if you're investing or developing property. Thank you so much for watching.